Hey friends! You're probably wondering why I'm sitting in my bathtub. Well, that's because I have this awful ring around the tub that it always gets when there's somebody in the family that takes a bath. And both of my children, they're 6 and 8, of course they both take baths, and so we always end up with a ring around the tub. So today's the day. I've been putting it off for a long time. I finally need to get this done. Well, my favorite cleaner to use this, to clean this, is called a softer scrub. I don't know what else to call it. I've been really good about making sure I'm not saying the official brand names of the products that my homemade cleaners are trying to replace, and I know that that's awful close, but you know, there's really no other name that I can think of. So anyway, it's a really simple and easy recipe to use. The very first ingredient is going to be baking soda, and I don't usually mix it, I don't usually measure it. I usually just kind of like guess as far as how much of it I'm going to need. But the official recipe would be something like 1/3 of a cup of this, plus about 1 teaspoon to a tablespoon. It really depends on what type of soap you have. But 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon of a Castile soap. You mix the two of those together until you get a nice thick white paste. Now if you feel like this isn't going to be, scrubbing enough, and you need something that's maybe a little bit more abrasive, then one thing you can do to boost it is, instead of using the baking soda, just use the scrubbing powder that I gave you a recipe for. There were 3 versions of this. All 3 of them will work. But again, if you use the first recipe I gave you, it's a baking soda borax mix. That will help boost the scrubbing ability of it. If you use the second one, which has salt, again, that'll be, really good at helping to scour. And then the third recipe uses washing soda. So again, make sure, you use gloves if you're going to use that. It's very important. And don't use it on a fiberglass tub. But this can be used on any type of sink that has a gunky buildup of any sort or whatever. So there we go. Now we have a nice thick white paste. And the next thing I do is I just dip my brush in it. I've got quite a bit here. And then I scrub away. And it's coming off already. I love how well this works. It really does work very well, and it makes a otherwise tedious job actually fairly easy. And this will come right off, and I'll only be here for another 5 or 10 minutes. So make sure when you go to mix this up, you use it. You're going to mix it up right when you're about to use it, which is why I'm mixing it right now, because I am going to be using it. This isn't one of the cleaners like some of the others that you can mix up ahead of time and kind of use as you go. You do have to make sure you mix this right at the time you're going to be using it, but it's no big deal. Just mixes right up and then scrub on. And then any leftovers that you have, make sure you toss them. But the recipe, since it's so simple, you can make as little or as much of it as you want, or you can even make some, and then as you're going through, if you need to make some more to finish the job or whatever, you can. So you don't have to follow the base recipe exactly, like I just did just now. I didn't measure anything. You just put it in the bowl and make sure, it gets to somewhere around the right consistency, and then scrub away at it. It's really not that difficult. And none of the same fumes and other harsh chemicals. I don't have to wear gloves or anything. So nice and gentle, won't scratch the tub. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you missed any of the if you missed any of the other videos in the series, feel free to check those out, and I'll keep them coming. We'll have some more coming up next week. Thanks. Before, after. Yucky. Not yucky. Ta-da! All done. No more ring. And I feel so much better about using these homemade cleaners than the commercial chemical sorts, because every time I would clean the bathtub with those chemical ones, I always felt like I was leaving some behind when I was rinsing it off. Even with tons of water, I felt like I was leaving some behind, and I didn't want to do that, because then either I would take a bath or my kids would take a bath with the chemicals. Now if I leave behind small amounts, so we take a bath with a little bit of, soap and baking soda. It's really no big deal at all. I love these homemade cleaners so much better than the chemical versions.